Welcome to Open House. I'm Kathleen Pratt. A little known fact about me is this: I played drums in my school band. I did, and I loved it. And to this day, some of my favorite music is percussion-rich music. And today we're striking up the band for Music Gettysburg, a wonderful organization in our community that brings the finest of local, regional, and international musical talent to us at no charge to us. I'd like to welcome Mark Oldenburg, the chair of Music Gettysburg, to Open House.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
It's so great to have you here, and we have so much to talk about with Music Gettysburg. But you have such an interesting story, and if you don't mind, can we talk a little bit about you?
Sure.
Mark, I've gotten to know you a little bit as we prepared for having this conversation today, and then I can't help myself, so I did a little bit of research outside of that. So I know that you are a United Lutheran Seminary professor emeritus in the art of worship. You are on the board of the Gettysburg Brass Band Festival. You sing in the Handel Choir of Baltimore. You're a published author, and I could go on and I could go on and on, but will you share with us what moved you to embrace a life so rich in music?
Well, I was fortunate enough to have two parents who both were very good amateur musicians, singers, piano players. I grew up taking piano. I've been in a church choir ever since I was in first grade, and love singing with other people, and kind of moved from that to enjoy being moved by all sorts of performing music. I was fortunate to be in both the Gettysburg College Choir and the Gettysburg Chapel Choir, and was shaped by Parker Wagnall and Dexter Weichel, the directors of those. Music just, I love it. It moves me. I love singing with a group because that really involves everything from your body to your soul to your memory to social. It's health-giving.
Well, Louis Armstrong said, "Music is life itself." And I think of Music Gettysburg, and I think of how Music Gettysburg enriches the lives of our community with so many offerings throughout the year. And I'm curious, how did Music Gettysburg get started?
Well, Music Gettysburg actually started in 1980 when the chapel at what's now United Lutheran Seminary on the Seminary Ridge in Gettysburg, when that chapel was renovated after serving as the chapel for 40 years. And as part of that, the seminary put in a new organ, which is a magnificent instrument. And there were a bunch of organ concerts and choir concerts to help dedicate the chapel. The community really responded to that. It wasn't just alums and students and faculty that came to those concerts. Lots of people from the area came. And so some people from the seminary and some people from the community, people from the seminary like Herm Stempfli, who was president at that point, Jerry Christensen, who was in charge of the renovation, Steve Folkemer, who was a student but would go on to be the director of music at the seminary, but also people from the community like Wayne Hill and Bill Bast got together and said, this was so popular, why don't we keep it going? And so they established Music Gettysburg as a community-supported free concert series. We still concentrate on organ and choral music, but we've moved beyond that to all sorts of different sorts of music, but that's how it began.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, we moved to Gettysburg 26 years ago, and you know, when you move to a new place, one of the first things you do is scout out what's what, you know, where are things that can really make our lives here richer. And I have to tell you, I remember the first time I went to a Music Gettysburg event and saying to my husband, now my husband really loves organ music. And he is a fairly fine musician. And I remember him making a comment to me about that organ in the chapel. And we just, Music Gettysburg, that was one of the things that we encountered all those years ago that helped us know that Gettysburg is really just a wonderful place to live. So for that, I thank you. I thank you for that. But you're the chair of Music Gettysburg.
Yeah.
So what does the chair do?
Well, just about everything. So I'm the person that gets in touch with possible performers and arranges with that. I make sure that the space is available and set for concerts. Greet people as they come in, make sure that we still have enough money to present concerts. But I really do a little bit of everything, from investigating performers who are vetted by the steering committee to making sure that there are enough paper towels in the bathroom. So.
And
a little
thank
bit
you
of
for that.
everything. Yes,
Thank you. We all
that's
thank
important.
you for those paper towels and everything else, of course. Well, I know from experience that there are some concerts that are regularly held, whether they're annually held or maybe regularly so many years. For instance, and I wrote this down so I would make sure I got the name right, because I didn't have the name right in my head when I was thinking about it, but the U.S. Army Chorus comes every 3 years or
Depending
so.
on their schedule.
Depending on,
yeah,
yes,
as often
of
as we
course.
can get them.
But I wondered if we could learn a little bit more about whether it's the annual concerts or just the regular programming.
Well, the Army Corps and actually a bunch of different groups from the U.S. military. So Air Force singing sergeants, a number of others. We get them to come once, and the acoustics, the way it sounds to sing or for small groups to play in the chapel is so marvelous that they want to come back. They will ask to come back. So every few years, they'll call and say, can we come back to Gettysburg? But there are a bunch of different groups who perform every year. I know you're familiar with the Gettysburg Children's Choir.
I am.
They, for the last several years, have had their last concert at the end of the year, and so their farewell concert to people who are moving out of, graduating from the Children's Choir. That comes every year. We have 3 concerts every year by the Gettysburg Chamber Orchestra in the fall, in January, and the spring. We host the Gettysburg Brass Band Festival every June. We ourselves put on a Christmas offering in December, which is a sampler of holiday favorites from some of our favorite local performers. For the last 10 years or so now, we've celebrated a Robert Burns night with Scottish music and reading of poetry. We have an associated group called the Schola Cantorum of Gettysburg that since 1986 has been performing music mostly from J.S. Bach and before, so late medieval, Renaissance, early Baroque music, in the context for which it was intended, which is a service of worship. So for the last 40 years coming on, they have done candlelit service of the evening prayer on the first Sunday of Advent, so the end of November, beginning of December. So we've got even, we start out with almost half of our concerts are pretty much set every year, year to year.
Okay. Well, you've got this abundant schedule of music that is, and correct me if I'm using incorrect terminology, but liturgically based music. So there's some of that going on.
Some of that going on,
But
yes.
then there's also secular music.
Yes.
Right? So if we think a little bit about, let's shift to a little bit of that secular music, how are these musical performers found? So I know that you bring, again, local, regional, international musical artists. So how are the international music artists identified, for instance?
Well, we've got a steering committee that is connected with lots of folk, and that they will often make suggestions. But we also get people who have performed or been connected with Music Gettysburg, who bring their own connections. So that, for instance, this coming year, we are presenting a Welsh baritone who has been knighted for his service to the United Kingdom, named Jeremy Hugh Williams. We would not have thought that he would be interested in coming, but a composer that we have worked with before is a friend of his. He said, Jeremy's coming through, he's got some open dates, would you be interested in presenting him? And so we connected with him. Turns out we could afford him. He was over the moon because one of the pieces he performs is a recently composed piece called Gettysburg, July 1st, 1863.
Wow.
And so he was just astonished that he would be able, it has not been performed in Gettysburg before, and it'll be performed at the center of the battle, where the battle happened on that date, because the first day of the battle was really centered at the seminary.
Oh, I just got chills. Yeah. I mean, really, that's fabulous.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to him.
Oh, just absolutely fabulous. Well, the chapel at the United Lutheran Seminary is just such a lovely space. And are most or all of the performances held at the chapel? Most
of them are. We've also, between Gettysburg, the United Lutheran Seminary, and the Gettysburg Brass Band Festival, and gift from Wayne Hill and his family, the Younger family, we've been able to construct an outdoor pavilion that's covered, powered, lit, and so we try to have outdoor concerts there. That's where the Gettysburg Brass Band Festival takes place. And we will have a series of Sunday evening concerts beginning at 6 o'clock from the end of July through the middle of August, every Sunday for 5 weeks in a row. That, weather permitting, they'll happen at that outdoor pavilion that's really just on the other end of the seminary campus, on the corner near the corner of Springs Avenue and Seminary Ridge.
And the seminary campus is fairly easy to access. There are lovely multiple parking lots.
Yes.
And I think that our public transportation buses
They stop at the library at the seminary, yes.
So I think that, I thank you for that. I thank you for, again, that accessibility. So not only free of charge, but also physically accessible, and for all kind of abilities of the body as well.
Yes.
To be accessible.
Now the outdoor concerts, there isn't space provided. We'll have a few folding chairs just for people. We ask people to bring their blankets, folding chairs, picnics. So often people set up tables with flowers and have a picnic during the concert. But that's less accessible because the ground is a bit uneven. But people can sit in their cars and listen to it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Oh, I love, again, this availability to all of us to enjoy this. I know that we've talked a little bit about partnerships, community partnerships, and I fully agree with you that our community is made stronger with partnerships. I know that you've mentioned a couple. You mentioned the Gettysburg Children's Choir, and I really do come from such a musical family. Both of my children sang in the Gettysburg Children's Choir. I think my daughter was one of the first years of that choir's existence. Wow. So in fact, this is like a mom moment. Sorry, everyone, mom moment. It doesn't change no matter how old your children become. But when the Majestic Theater opened, she had the privilege of actually singing there with that choir. But so these partnerships are, again, really important to a healthy community. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about related to partnerships?
Sure. Well, along with
Forging new ones, other ones that exist?
along with the groups that we present every year that
Yes.
are not, that are, have their own corporate existence. We have partnerships, unofficial partnerships with the Sunderman Conservatory at Gettysburg College. So we will regularly present faculty members and students in performance. And honestly, although we're not very far from the conservatory and they have wonderful performing spaces, it's often easier to get to performances at the seminary than at the college, just in terms of parking and that sort of thing. We also make sure with the Sunderman Conservatory and with the Majestic Theater that we don't schedule performances for the same time. And with the Majestic, we also have advertisements for each other in our programs, that we trade that back and forth. A fairly recent partnership that we've gotten just over the last couple of years is with Market Square Concerts in Harrisburg. We don't get many audience members coming from Harrisburg except for the Robert Burns night. And Market Square doesn't get many audience members coming from Gettysburg. So what we've been able to do over the last couple of years is schedule an artist to be here in a weekend and perform there on Saturday and in Gettysburg on Sunday. And so that cuts down on transportation and housing costs, for instance, and gets us connected with a different set of possible performers. We also have occasionally done fundraisers for the Adams County Arts Council, for SCAP, and for Gettysburg Cares. So we try to be as connected as possible with all sorts of things.
A real community partner, going way beyond bringing this lovely opportunity of music to us with SCAP and the Arts Council, and I just thank you for all of that. Thank you for all of that. So all of these things that Music Gettysburg does for our community, music related, non-music related, and I'm thinking of the music and it's free of charge, but obviously it's not free to produce these amazing events. And you mentioned you were happy that you could afford in your budget the Welsh performer, and I'm very excited about that, as I'm excited about all things Music Gettysburg does. But let's talk a little bit about funding. Where does it come from? And maybe how can we help you out?
Okay.
As in we
certainly.
as individuals.
Glad to talk about that.
How can individuals help you out?
Well, where it comes from, first of all, Music Gettysburg is really a part of United Lutheran Seminary, that we don't have our own sort of corporate existence. Mm-hmm. We operate under the aegis of United Lutheran Seminary, and the United Lutheran Seminary provides the chapel with its instruments. It provides the access to the outdoor performing platform, and a good deal of back office help in terms of bookkeeping and generating acknowledgement letters and that sort of thing. But they don't provide any funding from Music Gettysburg, so that all of the funding from Music Gettysburg comes from donations from area individuals and businesses. And the community has been unbelievably supportive. I mean, we always pass the plates at every concert, and people are very generous there. But we do a mailing once a year with our annual brochure, and between that and our participation in the Adams County Community Foundation Giving Spree and passing the plates, we are able to provide 20 free concerts of just amazing quality throughout the year We do our best to take care of the funds that we get. So we try to offer our performers enough so that they will come and not be taken advantage of or offended. But the performers realize it's a community-supported free concert series, and they are so happy to come here, not only for the sound of the space, but for the enthusiasm of the audiences. They're just overwhelmed by how knowledgeable and how grateful the audience is.
I would think that Music Gettysburg must have a good reputation for being good stewards of the funds that you have, which is one reason why many performers who aren't familiar necessarily with Gettysburg want to come and feel comfortable coming and know they'll be taken care of appropriately while they're here.
They do talk to one another.
Yes, yes. So I commend you for that as well. And I want to say I would like to support Music Gettysburg. So is there a way I can get onto your mailing list, or is there a website I can go to and make a donation? How can someone who, beyond when the plate has been passed, contributed, how can someone who wants to be more of a regular contributor do that?
We have a website. It's just musicgettysburg.org with no comma, no exclamation point, as we have in the actual name of it, but it's just musicgettysburg.org, and people can contribute from that website.
Great.
If you want to email us at info@musicgettysburg.org, we'd be delighted to put you on our mailing list. We send out an email blast before every concert, just reminding people what the concert is. That also gives us a chance, if there is a problem with the weather, if there's a problem with a performer getting sick, we can send out that information to folk. We have a phone number as well, but to be honest, the email is a much better way of getting information to us. And you can email through the website as well.
Okay, so join me, go to the website as soon as you're done watching this. Let's support Music Gettysburg, and then we get on that mailing list so we get to know everything that's coming up, which is a question I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
I am sure that many people watching, including myself, are curious to know, can you give us a sneak peek into anything that's upcoming?
Delighted, yes, absolutely. Well, of course, we've got the Summerfest, those concerts, hopefully outdoors, that include the Buzz Jones Jazz Quintet, the Celtic group, Cormoran's Fancy, the folk song group from the 19th century folk songs, Dearest Home. This year, we're actually welcoming back, as we do every year, Felix Hell, who's an internationally known organist. The seminary's organ is his favorite organ on the continent.
Wow.
And we've been presenting him almost every year since he was 16. He was born and brought up in Germany, but studied in the United States at Juilliard and in Philadelphia and at Peabody. He is the distinguished artist in residence for the seminary. And so he's coming in both in the fall and in the spring. He'll be performing with a friend of his who's a trumpeter, but in the fall. But in the spring, he's doing a special Thursday night concert as part of the celebration of United Lutheran Seminary's 200th birthday. So we love to see Felix anytime when he can make it back from his concert tours in Asia and Europe and all around the world. We're also presenting the Philadelphia Bronze, which is a nationally known handbell ensemble. Jeremy Hugh Williams, I talked about, coming from Harrisburg. Stuart Molina, who's the head of the Harrisburg Symphony, will be coming with some friends, and sort of heartwarming concert. We're presenting a soprano and pianist from the Selinsgrove area. Both of them teach at Susquehanna University, with songs from Sweden and Norway in memory of two of our dearest supporters, Carol Christensen and Pat Crowner, both of whom died recently, and their husbands are supporting this sort of Scandinavian song fest, which will be wonderful, yeah.
That is beautiful. Mark, are there any interesting, unusual, comical, I don't know, out of the ordinary types of performances that you can think of through the years?
Well, certainly some unusual. One of the things that Music Gettysburg does is try to present as wide a variety of kinds of music as possible. So we do folk music, we do big band, we do liturgical music, church-based music, we do chamber music, we do vocal music, we do anything we can get our hands on. Some of the most unusual ones, we had someone who, an organist who actually played half of his concert on the accordion. Huh. We have had a harp ensemble. We have had the trombone choir from Eastman School of Music. We were honored several years ago. There was a great a cappella quartet of women called Anonymous Four. There was a very famous group who performed not only medieval music for women's voices, but gorgeous versions of American music. They disbanded, but came to Music Gettysburg as part of their farewell tour. And just amazing to be. But to be honest, one of the most memorable concerts I remember being part of, we did the Brahms Requiem, a huge masterwork, very moving, in memory of Herm Stempfli after he died. Herm was the president of Gettysburg Seminary, who was one of the founders and continued to be a supporter and guide for Music Gettysburg. Magnificent person, hymn writer, preacher, administrator, a force in the community. And it was a wonderful way to say goodbye to Herm, but also to provide consolation to the community with that magnificent piece by Brahms.
And thank you for that.
Oh.
Thank you for that, for our community. You said the word goodbye in a very solemn way that I want to honor, but that actually brings us to our goodbye. I can't believe how quickly this time has gone, Mark. I want to ask you, is there anything else that you would like to share before we say goodbye?
Not really, just thanks to the community for supporting Music Gettysburg, for making this possible. It's a treasure for our area, absolutely. I was a fan of Music Gettysburg before I was involved in helping to lead it, so.
It truly is a treasure. And Mark, you are a treasure for our community as well. Mark Oldenburg, Chair of Music Gettysburg, thank you so much for being here today. And to all of us who are also here today, I look forward to seeing you at Music Gettysburg events.